This is a rather extraordinary survival from the collection, we assume, of Edward Alleyne. Edward Alleyne, the founder of Dulwich College, or College of God's Gift. And Edward Alleyne was the kind of actor, I think, who probably did think of himself as God's gift, though that was not his intention in giving the name. He bought paintings and left them to the college, and it is that reason, I think, ultimately, that Dulwich Picture Gallery exists. Because in 1811, when our founder Francis Bourgeois died, there were already at Dulwich College a series of paintings, and it existed as an art gallery, although not a public one, from Edward Alleyne's death in 1626. This is the grandest of a series of paintings that Edward Alleyne bought between 1618 and 1620 for his newly founded college. And these were pictures of the kings and queens and royal family of England. He also had some sibyls and a few worthies thrown in there, and it's perfectly clear that these were bought for the education of the boys of the college. In other words, these are not great works of art, they're educational pieces. And this is a fascinating insight into what was available for someone who was not a major aristocrat at the time. Edward Alleyne was not like the Earl of Arundel or Charles I, going abroad with agents to buy him Titians and Leonardos and Raphaels. That was not his aim. Instead, he went to a local person who turned these things out, and very crude they are too. But this is something special. It's no masterpiece, and it doesn't have an artist attributed. The figure there is fascinating. This is Prince Henry, the Prince of Wales, James I's eldest son. He died very young. He was the great hope of England. James I himself, perhaps not a terribly popular man. Charles, his younger brother, a slight, sickly figure who was never expected to survive. Henry, however, was a sportsman, an athlete, an intellectual, a collector of art. And his early death was a real tragedy, or seen as such, for England. And of course, it led directly to his younger, sickly brother taking the throne, and this was Charles I, and we all know how that ended. So anyway, here he is, and it's a rare painting because it seems to have been derived from engravings, and those engravings were derived from a great artist's drawing of Prince Henry. Isaac Oliver had done a famous drawing of him side on, playing with a jousting spear. The actual paintwork is pretty crude, there's no doubt about it. But the face is quite sensitive, nothing to write home about. This is certainly not Van Dyck or anything of its ilk. But it's a rare survival from the period. Also, it is many times larger than all of the other portraits of the royals. So this series of kings that Edward Alleyne commissioned was on a different scale altogether. So why is this one different? Well, the answer may well be an acting link again. Edward Alleyne, who had been Elizabeth I's favourite actor, Christopher Marlowe's leading man, the first Tamburlaine the Great, was also involved with the prince's players. The prince, in that case, being Henry. And Henry was patron of the prince's players. What this looks like to me, almost, and I have no way of knowing, is something possibly hung outside or in the foyer of a theatre. Maybe this is a kind of banner, almost, for the prince's players, something that they carried around with them to advertise their patron. And incidentally, the final note, if you come to the gallery and look closely, just up there, I very much doubt if the camera will pick it up, but there's a small horse's head that's been painted over. And I have to say, this is not a masterpiece. It's almost like a cartoon, the cartoon of Dobbin. And the head is so small that it could never, I think, have been part of this composition. What I think it is a survival from something earlier, that this is a recycled canvas, in other words. But the horse is intriguing. It's far cruder than the painting of Prince Henry. And you just wonder what kind of workshop would be producing emblematic, heraldic horses of such crudity, and then was given this marvellous commission and produced something rather better. However crude this workshop may have been, I suspect this was its masterpiece.